Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa Dravida Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Rudikacharya Ashtotar Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, we're going to be reading from page 192 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 30th day of April 2019 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 4 entitled Transcendental Knowledge, text number 8, page 192. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sangstapanataya sambhavam yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sangstapanataya sambhavam yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sangstapanataya sambhavam yuge yuge. Go ahead, Marcy. Go ahead. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sangstapanataya Sambhavam yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam. Vinashaya sadushkritam. Dharma sangstapanataya. Sambhavam yuge yuge. Word by word. Paritranaya, for the deliverance, sadhunam, of the devotees. Vinashaya, for the annihilation, cha, and dushkritam, of the miscreants. Dharma, principles of religion. Sangstapana artaya, to re-establish. Sambhavami, I do appear. Yuge, millennium. Yuge, after millennium. Krishna says to Arjuna, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Purport. According to the Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu or holy man is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And dushkritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. For such miscreants, or dushkritam, are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education. Whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well-cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nevertheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses, Madhya 20, 263 to 264, summarize these principles of incarnation. Srishti hetu je murti prapanche avatare, se ishvara murti avatara nama dhare. Mayatita paravyome sabhar avasthan, vishve avatare dhare avataranam. The avatar, or incarnation of Godhead, descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Shakti-avesh avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly but not directly in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures such as the Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So Krishna is continuing to describe why and when and how he appears in this world. This is a very important subject matter because without the actual appearance or the descent or the incarnation of the Lord, we really wouldn't have any access to the transcendence. As Krishna explains a few verses back, that the science of God, the actual teachings, the essential teachings of the Vedas, is meant for the benefit of this world. There's no need for that knowledge in the spiritual world. They're spontaneously engaging and loving in relation with Krishna, which is the ultimate goal. So the gopis are not very learned in the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra. There's no need. But we need that instruction. We need that knowledge because our whole stay in this world, our sojourn, if you will. Sojourn doesn't mean journey. It means stay. Is predicated on our ignorance, our illusion. We're actually bewildered by the material energy which we've turned to and tried to exploit and enjoy, and that very effort has bewildered our innate intelligence as spiritual beings. And so we've completely forgotten who we actually are and what there's a God and we have a relationship. All of that is in there, but it's forgotten. And so as Prabhupada often says, we're under the spell of the material energy. And that spell is hard to break. We can't break it on our own because we have no inkling of the truth. We need to have a source of truth that comes, it's like an intervention. And Krishna periodically comes himself in order to renew that knowledge. That's the point. Because just by the force of time and the way that everything degrades in the material energy, that knowledge is gradually lost over time. So that's what he's saying now. He's explained in text 7. When he comes, yadayadahi dharma saglana bhavati bharata, whenever actual religion or dharma becomes obscured or distorted, and there's an upsurge of adharma, then he comes. And then he more explicitly says, in order to protect the devotees, the sadhus. Now, who is the sadhu? Prabhupada refers to a verse in the 9th chapter here, which he often does when the question of who is the sadhu. And it's interesting because the verse says, api chet suraracharo, bhajate mamananya bhak sadhu devat samantibhyak samyak bhavasito hisak. Even if one is externally, or say previously, very sinful, absorbed in all kinds of adharmic and vikarmic activities, vicious, if one is now engaged in pious activities, and especially bhajate mamananya bhak, who worships me undeviatingly, who worships me one point, then he's to be considered a sadhu. So the real point is not what you did, but what you're doing. It's not who you were, because all of us have been through so many countless situations in this life, previous lives, that was anything but a sadhu life. But the whole point is that that's not who we are. That the external body, whatever experiences we've had, that's not really who we are essentially. That's the prime lesson, or the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Dehi nosmin yata dehi komaram yovanam jana tata dehandara praptir dhiras tattar nabuyati. This verse is about transmigration. Actually, anyone can understand this. Krishna says, just as in this very body, we're passing through so many stages, isn't it? We're all children, and then you grow up a little bit, become an adolescent, then you become an adult, and gradually you get in middle age. And it's just like the famous changing bodies exhibit that we have. Right? There's all these stages. It's not a mystery. Everyone knows it. So, but when you think about it,
in each of those stages, we're the same person. Right? I mean, who can argue it? You have the same name, you know. And maybe, I remember when I got my Social Security card, I was 13 or 14, I had some part-time job, you know. I still got that number with my name on it. Doesn't mean much, I don't know, I'm studying Social Security. But the point is that there's an identity there to this body, right? You know. So, but I'm a different person now than I was when I was 14, 15, 16, all that. And moment to moment, it's changing. The body's changing, the mind is changing, so many ideas are coming in, you're forgetting so many things, right? but the knower of those thoughts and then the knower of this body is the same. So that's what Krishna, you are the knower. And he makes it very explicit in the 13th chapter, Kshetragya. Kshetragya means the knower of the field of activities. When you think about it, your field of activities is really this body. Even if you're, you know, engaged in so many things in the external world, you will perceive that through the senses of this body. So it's really your eyes and your ears and your touch and your brain and everything that you're working within, right? So this is the field of activity, but it's not you. The Kshetragya is different from the Kshetra. The knower of the field is different from the so that what Krishna says there, and this we need to get from the higher source of knowledge, is that just as we're passing in this body through different stages, and in one sense we're passing through different bodies. The body's completely changed from 40 years ago. Similarly, you change it to another body at death. When this specific arrangement, and if you think about it, it's just this big complicated machine, way more complicated than the scientists can figure out how it actually works. You know, we have some idea, and you have medicine, but they're always discovering new things, and you know, like, so it's a really complicated machine. It somehow repairs itself oftentimes, you know, and does amazing things. But it's just a machine. And ultimately, as all machines, as everything material must break down, the body breaks down. Either suddenly, some accident or disease or just old age, it just breaks, it's finished. But that's not the end of you. Death is the grand illusion. It's a grand illusion. Nobody dies. Everybody dies, nobody dies. You know my little poem? What's your name? Nikki. So Nikki, I wrote a little poem. It's actually, why don't we turn to the verse? It's based on a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Close to the one I just referred to. Anta bandha hime deha. We'll find it. It's coming up. Yeah. Text 18 in chapter 2 on page 84. I'll turn to 84 in your hymnal. Well, you don't need to do. So, page 84 bottom, it says, Andabandha hime deha, nityasyokta sharirinaha. That's exactly, everybody dies. Antabandha means has an end, perishable. These bodies. You know, he's referring either to all the soldiers, you know. The body dies. It has an end. But Nityasokta Sharirinaha. Sharirinaha is that which dwells within the body, namely the soul, or the Atma, the embodied soul, Sharirina, is said to be Nitya. So you have the two things, Andabanta and Nitya. Andabanta means comes to an end, not Nitya. Nitya is eternal. So every body, every single body, dies. That's the first part. Andabanta hime deha. But nobody dies. Nobody means the soul in the body. Everybody dies, nobody dies. Wake up and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. Got the whole philosophy right there. So, but we don't know that, you know. Even if someone can learn that little ditty, they don't believe it, they don't understand it. It's a mystery, because you can't perceive the soul, you can't weigh it, you can't see it. How are you going to? But it's who we are, and it's a wonderful bit of news. Isn't that what gospel means? The good news, right? Good news, religious news, spiritual. The great news is you're not going to die. Nobody dies. But the serious news is that you'll keep thinking that you're dying unless you regain your original spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and you can actually face the difficulties of this world, up to and including death, with equanimity. This word equipoise often comes up here. The first editor didn't know what that word was, and for a long time all the devotees in the movement were reading equipose. We're equiposed. But the word is equipoised. Equipoised means with equanimity. When the things there are so many reasons for being disturbed, and you're not disturbed, that's a sign of spiritual strength, advancement. You know that even if it comes to the point of being killed, I'm not going to die. I'm just going to move on, and because I have some assets in Krishna consciousness, I'll be okay. That's an incredibly valuable state of mind to attain, isn't it? So back to our verse. So nobody knows this. So Krishna comes in order to protect the devotees, because as referred to in this purport, there are demons, the dushkritams, that's mentioned in the verse itself. Those who are enemies of the devotees. We have some, really, what would you say, great examples of that in our literature. It mentions Kamsa here, he mentions Ravana, I believe, Hiranyakashipu. This is what's the characteristics of the demon? It's good to read chapter 16 sometimes, really get into it. You can see how these qualities mentioned in chapter 16 are so prominent today. If the leader is an obvious demon, then he's going to be able to bring out the demons, the demonic qualities in the people. What's the quality? Dambo, darbo, bimanasta. You know what damba means, really? It means the con job. It means faking. It means the fraud. That's the first quality of the demons. The demons don't want to be called demons. They want to be thought demons. They want to be thought of as ordinary, good people. And that's part of the con. So dambo, darpa, vanity, abhimanas, false pride, paurusham, harshness, greed, all of these qualities that it says in the Bible, right? They're the source of, degradation. So there's people like that, and there's more of them in the Kali Yuga, and they come to power and they rule things. So they're always the enemies of the devotees, because the devotees are invoking a higher power, and the big thing is they're not intimidated. The real devotees are not intimidated by the demons. And we see the examples of Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, who were even tormented by the demons, but they kept their equanimity. Prahlad just had his mind fixed. It's all a question of the mind. Mind over matter, we say. If your mind is absorbed in the transcendence, then yes, the body may be going through so many things, but it's not disturbing you. It's not throwing you into panic and fear. That's really where we live. If you can overcome the fear, Prabhupada's very name, Abhaya Charanadavindaday, fearless at the lotus feet of Krishna. If you're confident, you're not just confident, but absolutely have full faith that Krishna is there, that He'll protect, then even if this tabernacle is destroyed, you won't be destroyed. We're reading now this pastime of Dhruva Maharaj in the morning. Now, Dhruva Maharaj was a great example. He approached God for a material purpose, which is okay, because the key is you approach God. And as Krishna says in this chapter, 7th chapter, there's 4 kinds of people who approach me. Chaturvada bhajante mam jana sukutanojana. Arto, Jigyasu, Artati, Jnani Chapadatarsha. We went through this morning. Many people, the atheists say, oh, you guys just, you just can't accept that there's nobody out there. But you need to rely. So in order to live your life, you imagine that there's life after death and that there's somebody protecting. But we're realists. We know that there's nothing more but this matter, But that doesn't solve the problems. That doesn't solve the problems of your own death, your own destruction, and all of the horror that's going on. You cannot cure, you cannot help humanity unless you give them a spiritual solution to the problem. There's no material solution to the material problems. This verse that I quote all the time, Dukkha Aushadam Tadapi Dukkham. Prahlad Maharaj is analyzing this world, what it really is like, in a few lines. That's what's so beautiful about the Shastra. Essential truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. This is actually a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's a translation of a verse. And that's what all of these books are. Essential truth. Essential for what? For our own benefit, ultimate benefit. Not for some immediate thing that's going to, that just distract you and ultimately degrade you, but for your ultimate benefit as a soul. So what does Prahlad Maharaj says? He's the great devotee, a little child tormented by his huge demonic father whose body like steel, perform austerities you can't even imagine. And he's ruling the whole universe, and he couldn't stand that his little 5-year-old son was chanting Hare Krishna. Was a devotee of his so-called enemy, Hari. You know the story. So Prahlad remained equipoised. His father tried to boil him in oil, throw him off a cliff, poison him, crush him under elephants, every way, chop him up. He was protected by his tejas, that yogic power that he developed, just meditating and absorbing his mind in Krishna. That was his power. So then when Hiranyakashipu, whose name means gold and soft bed, and the bed companion, that's the meaning of his name, which is what the demons are after. He was slain by Lord Nrsingadev, who's Krishna's incarnation of fury when his devotee is tormented, half man, half lion. You can imagine how frightening it is. Huge. He ripped them apart. And then he was pacified only by Prahlad's prayers. So when he offered these prayers, which are very important, chapter 9, the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the prayers, which I love to contemplate, he's analyzing what this world is. Yasmat priya priya viyoga sayoga janma shokagnana sakala yonu shudayyamana dukkaushadam tadapi dukkam adhaddhyaham bhuman ramami vadameta vadasi yogam. There's so much in that one verse. So first he's saying that here's the situation we are in this material world. Everybody, not even just human beings, every single animal. This is sakala yonashu, so many different species. So what's the story? Yasmat, from this reality of priya, apriya, viyoga, sayoga. Let's analyze that one phrase. So priya are those things which are dear to us, beginning with our very body, and even along with the health, right? And those loved ones you have, and the things that you have, and your job, and your status, and all kinds of things. We have a whole array of things. We can make our own list. Things that we really want and we need to live. We think are absolutely essential. So that's called priya. That's just things that are dear. Then there's things that are apriya, things that we don't want, right? Disease, old age, poverty, being like those poor homeless people on the street, your car to break down. I mean, there's a whole list of serious, really serious things and little things that just aggravate you. And we try to avoid those, right? And we have all kinds of mechanisms of combating those things. So that's, but here's the situation in the material world. Those things which are dear are viyoga, are eventually taken from you, right? Your youth, hello, you can't hold on to it. I can test that. I have that by absolute realization. Your health, gradually things break down. All glories to the foot. I got my arm hanging here. One day it'll just hang. My vision's not so great. So that goes. Things that are dear, and your dear children, your wife, your husband, different things, your money. Did we forget already 2002, 2007, 2008? When people's most precious possession that they have, their home, millions and millions of people lost their homes because of the financial crisis. So much anxiety, the whole structure, the Ponzi scheme of the international finance system was ready to collapse. Everyone's that's priya viyoga. Those are the dear things taken away, and the not the dear things pushed on you. And then the other side, the things that are. So this is material life. You think you have it together, and you've got your things you need. You're going along all right, but you can see that eventually it's going to be taken from you. So that's called a. What does he say? Piyabi is yoga janma shok agnina. This gives birth to the shok agnina, the fire of lamentation. Just contemplating it can cause great anxiety. The threat of your dear things taken from you, the threat of things coming at you, not even happening. That's a shoka. That's a lamentation, anxiety, tremendous. That in itself is a misery. Even, you know what I mean? So then he says, Sakala Yonashadayama, I've been burning in this fire of lamentation and fear and suffering caused by these two things that we described. Birth after birth in so many different species. Now, in the human species, we have this good intelligence, so we can figure out ways of combating those things. I mean, the history is, this comes to mind, forgive me, but there was a point in the development of London, I read this years ago, where eventually they realized we've got to have a sewer system. You can imagine life without a sewer system. Growing with big imperialism, And, okay, so there's one guy who engineered it all, so there would be some flowing water, and finally go into the Thames, Okay. Wow, what a relief. Now we got it together. We don't have to worry about that anymore. What about electricity? I don't remember. You probably don't remember. But in the 30s, there was this whole electrification of the rural areas of America, right? That was part of how they got out of the Depression, is like had people putting up all these, electrical things, So, well, what a relief. Now we got lights, and then they're still trying to get Wi-Fi out in the boonies, but, the point is that it's a real relief. It's a duk aushadhi. It's a remedy for misery. So we're progressing, right? We're progressing. But those very remedies cause more misery. Duk aushadam tadapi dukam. Okay, everyone wants electricity. Everyone wants a car. Everyone wants to fly. Everyone wants all the goods, to come in. Cheap goods come in from China. So what do we got to do? We got to burn a lot of fossil fuels in order to get all that right happening. And then, oh my goodness, now what's happening? The whole environment is becoming too hot, and species are dying, and oh my God. So the cure for the misery, in a few short years, produces even more misery, to the point of, annihilation of the human species on the planet. So this is material life. Dukkha shadam tadapi dukkam. And the whole root of it, and this, talk about essential truth spoken concisely, atadiyaham. 4 little syllables, he's got the whole thing analyzed. Which means I'm thinking I'm something I'm not. I'm thinking I'm this body. I'm thinking I'm white. I'm thinking I'm black. I'm thinking I'm old, young, male, female. It's all illusion. And that's the root of the whole problem. Identifying with the material body, therefore we try to have material solutions, and we make more problems, and we forget all about our real nature. So the 4th line gives a solution. He's speaking to the Lord, and the Shringadevi says, Bhuman, O great Lord, Brahmami, this one who's wandering in all these species, Vadame tabadasya yogam, please teach me your bhakti yoga, your dasi yoga. Dasi yoga means the yoga of being a servant of God. So the whole philosophy is right there. But who knew that? I didn't know it, until I came in touch with this movement. So 5,000 years ago, Krishna is seeing that, well, this science as it is being lost. And my devotees are suffering from all of the dushkritas who are ascendant in the world. This is the beginning of Kali Yuga, right? 5,000. So therefore he came in order to protect the sadhus. Now there's another reason he mentions in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anugrahaya bhaktana manasam dehamashataha bhajate tadrishi krita yashrutam tatparo bhavet. I may have missed a syllable or so there. He says, in order to show mercy to my devotees, anugrahaya bhaktanam, I come in my original form as a human being, in the so-called human form, And I enact my pastimes that are going on in the spiritual world. And that, in order for them, and then having heard them, people will become attracted to me. In other words, Krishna renews the remembrance of his activities, not just the philosophy, but also his lila and his presence on the world. Just revives the devotees and gives them impetus to write so many literatures so that there's subject matter for hearing and chanting and meditating on Krishna. That's another reason, more intimate reason that he comes. But it's the same thing. Protecting the devotees means to protect their consciousness, basically. So that's now this idea of the avatar. Avatar means to descend. The word incarnation is not really so good for us, but it's what we have to work with. Incarnation obviously means taking a body of flesh. Karni, incarnation. But God never does that. Krishna doesn't come in a form of flesh and blood. His body is always transcendental. It's always Satchidananda. This is a big fallacy that the Mayavadis have. Oh yes, the Absolute has to come down in a fleshly body. No. But incarnation, people don't really think about the deep, the etymological meaning of it. But for us, it means one who descends. That's what avatar means. And Prabhupada mentions different kinds of avatars. So this is another point, that Krishna is the original. He's not really an avatar. He's an avatari. He's the source of all the avatars. And that's why in the Bhagavatam there's an essential verse, Ete changsakala punsa krishnastu bhagavan swayam. After listing all different avatars, and we have the fish avatar, we have the hog avatar, we have the Nrsinga avatar, and so many others, Dash avatars. So all of the avatars are mentioned in chapter 3, I believe, of the first canto. Then there's this verse, which is said to be like the foundational verse of the whole Bhagavatam. Ete changsakala, all of these other incarnations, these appearances of God, are either plenary portions of Krishna, expansions, or partial expansions of Krishna. But Krishna's tu bhagavan swayam. This phrase used to be on the letterhead. I remember when we used to have actually physical letters, you remember that? And we had this letterhead, ISKCON letterhead, and oftentimes they put that phrase up there. Krishna's tu bhagavan swayam. This is really one of the main missions that Srila Prabhupada had. Is, there is a God, and he's Krishna. Then you have to find out who Krishna is. Well, that's what all the books are for. So Krishna is God. Krishna is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is a much richer word than just God. There are many gods. God just means the controller. Indra is a god. We may call him a demigod, but he's still a god. He has great control and power, But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, means one who is full in the 6 opulences of God, which are listed by Parashara Muni. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashakshaya jnanavairagyaschaiva shanam bhaga etingana. Means that Aishwaryasya means wealth. But you can see where it comes from, the word Ishvara, right? Aishwaryasya. So it means control. How do you get control in this world? By becoming a billionaire, right? Then you really have control. So money is power. You can buy politicians, you can buy judges, right? It happens. So Aishwaryasya, but Krishna has all the money. He has all the wealth, and it's not just money. I mean, it's so he's really controller. Whatever we claim as our own, we're thieves. The actual point is that everything it comes from Krishna, and everything's meant to be used in Krishna's service. This is a central principle of devotional service. And when we work to do that, beginning with our own bodies and our own, intelligence, sound is so important. We feel connected. And by becoming connected again to Krishna, you become enlivened. Because suddenly the soul is waking up after all of these bodies and these millions of years of sleeping. You're waking up to your real nature. And it's just like you wake up in the morning, you have things to do, you're enlivened. So that's what this is all about. But there are many different kinds of avatars, and he mentions a list here, Purusha avatars. Purusha avatars are for the creation. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. It's complicated. Guna avatars, they include Brahma and Shiva, and Vishnu is included there, although he is plenary. The Leela avatars, I mentioned the boar, the fish, the turtle, Nrsingadev. There's Rama is one. Krishna is even listed among them. So they perform certain pastimes, always in this basic principle of protecting the devotees, reinstituting dharma. You'll see. And then the Shakti-avesh. Now they can be, often are, not Vishnu, but they're empowered. Shakti means empowered. They're given power. The pure devotee who's preaching, he's said to be Shakti-avesh, because he's got Krishna's power because of his purity, and it's just like a medium. It's like a electrical wire, He's able to manifest before us and affect us because we can associate with him. And so he has a certain power, the different power, like Narada has the Bhakti Shakti. Whoever he comes in touch with, he makes a bhakta, Prithu was a great king, and he's Shakti-avesh, the Pala Shakti. Pala means to protect. It's the basic principle of the Kshatriyas, And Jnana Shakti, they're the Kumaras. They're also, living entities like us, but they're empowered with knowledge, the first sons of Brahma, you can imagine. So this is the Shakti-avesh avatars. Manvantara avatars, they help the Manus in ruling the world. The different Manus, they're fathers of mankind, the Prajapatis like that. But each Manvantara means the rule of a Manu. It's 72 Divya Yugas, or 72 days of Brahma. Yuga cycles, very long. And you'll find that there's an avatar. You look in the 8th canto, who is associated with that. And finally, the Yuga avatars, the specific avatar who appears in each Yuga and gives the Yuga Dharma. So for us, the most important Yuga avatar is Lord Chaitanya. He may be hidden. He's not so obviously Krishna because he doesn't manifest all of the strength. But he's a Yuga avatar, and he teaches the Yuga Dharma of the Sankirtan. So we have all of this facility, if we take advantage of it. We know the Yuga Dharma. We've come in touch with the Yuga avatar through the books about him, his holy name, and all these. And so if we take advantage of this, then we can become purified and return back home, back to Godhead. Okay. Any questions?
Are you reading text 8?
I did. I read text 8, and then I was just talking on the... What happened?
The avatars, I don't seem to...
You don't see the avatars?
I mean, I see it. Oh, I see.
In the purport, there's a...
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was just reading from that... Yeah. Purusha avatar. You see that? I was just going down the list. Yeah, I was going down the list. Because it's all about Krishna saying, I manifest myself yuga after yuga. Now, it wouldn't be complete because this is a lesson in the next verse where he talks about the importance of knowing his birth and his activities. So can we read one more? Okay. Text 9. Prabhupada quoted this verse almost more than any other verse in Bhagavad Gita, except for, I think, Sarvadharma Parityajya. So it's an important verse. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha Chakva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sojana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Purport. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. All right, let's look at that 6th verse. That's the one, Ajopi Sanabhyatma. So he says, although I'm unborn, my transcendental body never deteriorates. Although I'm the Lord of all living beings, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So in the 6th verse he said that one who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage. And therefore, he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord,
is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body, and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Advaitam achyutamanadimananta rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers. As stated in the Vedas, the Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Devo Nityalilanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Ridyantaratma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version, Prabhupada uses the word verse oftentimes to mean verse. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. Okay. The Vedic version, Tattvam Asi, is actually applied in this case. So Tattvam Asi means thou art that. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the Personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tameva vidadvati mityameti nanyak panta vidyate yanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. This is from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.8. That there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed-up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. So, the Bhagavad Gita is what we used to call, when I first started studying philosophy back in college, 1968, a long time ago. Normative is trying to get you to take up certain norms of activity. It's not just a philosophical treatise, but it's a call to action, to change your life, to save yourself. There's a moral aspect to it, a deep moral aspect. And there's actually, Krishna is speaking to us here as his children. He's related to us. We don't recognize the relationship, but he does. He's with us all the time. And the whole way in which this book came about, Prabhupada's tremendous effort in writing this, that he wrote a whole version in India and it was stolen. He had written the whole manuscript for Bhagavad Gita and it was stolen. So did he become discouraged? So that's it, I spent hours and, No, he just started again. Because the need was great. He had to open, can you imagine? He had such a burning desire to fulfill the mission that his spiritual master gave him, Lord Chaitanya predicted, and his realization, after a whole lifetime in India. He was 69 when he came to America, and failing health. It's a miracle all of this manifested. But he saw the burning need for this, because otherwise people are just ruining their lives and ruining their chances. How often do you get a human body?
Not that often. Labdva sudurlabham abhidam bahusambhavande manusham. It's described in the Bhagavatam. It says, Labdva, you have attained is very difficult to attain, human form of life. Sudurlabham means very difficult. After many, many births through all the lower species, we have to look, change the way in which we look at the living world out there. I used to live in New York, where you practically forget that you're part of nature. There's just all these big buildings and the roaring traffic and the subways and everything. You forget that you're just part of nature. And there's all these different species, and they're all living entities just like us. But their consciousness is much, much more rudimentary. But they're still living. So we've been there. I wasn't, any great saint. I must have been, and I was headed there again. So now we've got this human form of life, but it's a great chance because of the higher intelligence. So that's this verse says, you've attained this human form of life after many, many births. And what's the value of it? Manusham, it's the very word, manush, same word in English, Sanskrit. Artanam. It can give you the ultimate goal, the value of liberation. Prabhupada keeps talking about liberation here. That's the preliminary, foundational goal that we should aim for. Let's get out of this prison house of birth, old age, disease, and death. It's simply a fool's errand to try to enjoy this life, try to build something in this life. It's all going to be destroyed. It's just like these kids on the beach. I don't go down there, but I know they must be. I used to go down there and build all these castles, and you're really into it, right? If your sister comes and knocks it down, it's like a crisis. I remember my brother once destroyed something I'd built. Anyway, but the parents know, oh, look, they're building the sandcastle. The ocean's going to come and destroy it, But the same thing, we're building this whole city is a sandcastle. What do you think? It's going to be destroyed by time. And it's all based on this fragile little body, which will certainly be destroyed by time. So who's really wise? As soon as you put all your energy into the material sphere, you're fool number one. It's the most ridiculous thing. And so much, serious literature is written about it. People take it so seriously. This is Maya's trick. So he says, Artadam nityam api adhira. You have to be thoughtful and calm and really contemplate what's important in life. And then having contemplated, then he gives you a hint what to do. Immediately, without hesitating, you should strive for the ultimate good. Nikshayasa. Ultimate good means that good which cannot be destroyed by time. It has to be transcendental. It has to be spiritual. It has to have to do with the Atma and the Supreme Atma and all these. Because we've tried to enjoy in all different kinds of ways, in all these different bodies. And look what it's gotten us. Another body to be destroyed and suffering. So that's the meaning here. So now this verse, quickly, and we've run out of time already. Okay. We'll do it again tomorrow. What do you say? It's such an important verse. Okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Anyway.